Hola, hola, bienvenido a este primer episodio de mi podcast Smart Spanish for Real Life. Now, I want to welcome you to my first episode. Hello from Colombia and welcome. Hola desde Colombia y bienvenido. If you can understand Spanish but still feel stuck when it's time to speak, you are not alone. Most learners don't need more vocabulary or more grammar. They need to learn how to actually use the Spanish they already know in real conversations and with real people. That's exactly what we do inside Smart Spanish Immersion, a structured, real life approach to help you think, react, and connect in Spanish without overthinking or feeling overwhelmed. And if you're curious about joining, you'll find the link to the program in the description of this episode. Now, imagínate esto. Imagine this. You've just landed in Colombia. You're tired, maybe a little overwhelmed, but also excited. This is it. You're finally going to use your Spanish in real life, en la vida real. You walk out of the airport, and suddenly everything starts happening fast. People are talking around you, different accents, different rhythms. Someone asks you for something, and you kind of understand, but not completely. And in that moment, something interesting happens. It's not that you don't know Spanish, it's that you don't have time to think about it. And I've seen this over and over again. I've been teaching Spanish since 2018. I worked with hundreds of students from all over the world, and I've also guided people through real experiences in Colombia, from relocation processes to language based travel. So when I tell you this, I'm not guessing. I've seen exactly where learners get stuck when they move from studying Spanish to actually living it. This is a part no one really prepares you for. Because when you learn Spanish, you usually learn it in controlled situations. You have time to think, you have time to remember grammar rules, you can organize your sentence before speaking, but real life doesn't work like that. En la vida real, no tienes tiempo para pensar. In real conversations, people interrupt, plans change, you don't catch every word, and you still have to respond. So let's walk through your first 24 hours. Vamos a ver cómo son esas primeras 24 horas en Colombia o en un país hispanohablante. Not from a vocabulary perspective, but from a real life experience. Vamos a ver. You arrive at the airport and need to get to your accommodation. You probably know words like taxi, bus, maybe even how much is it. But then the driver starts talking. He asks you something slightly different than what you expected. Maybe he speaks fast, maybe he uses expressions you've never heard, and now you're just not translating. You're reacting. In that moment, you don't need a perfect sentence. You need something simple like, ¿Cuánto cuesta hasta el centro? Or, ¿En cuánto me lleva hasta el centro? Or, ¿En cuánto me deja una carrera hasta el centro? Just enough to move forward. Then comes money. You need to pay. You recognize numbers, but when someone says them quickly with a local accent, it feels different. Especially if you're in Colombia, because we go by thousands and millions all the time. So you hesitate, you double check, you feel that small pressure of not wanting to make a mistake. And maybe all you can say is, Perdón, ¿me repites el valor? Not perfect, but real. And then your first real interaction. Maybe with the driver, maybe with the person at your accommodation. They ask you something simple, you understand it, but when it's your turn to respond, your brain goes blank for a second. Not because you don't know the answer, but because you're not used to responding under real conditions. And sometimes what you need is just, sí, llegué hoy. Es mi primera vez aquí. A simple way to connect. And this is the key idea. The gap is not between not knowing Spanish and knowing Spanish. The real gap is between understanding Spanish and using it in real time. And that gap doesn't close with more grammar. It closes with experience, with repetition, with guided situations that prepare you for exactly these moments. That's why inside Smart Spanish Immersion, we don't just teach the language. We recreate these situations. We help you practice how to react, ask, clarify, connect. Not in theory, but in context. So when you actually land in a place like Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Peru, your brain has already been there before. Because confidence doesn't come from knowing more, it comes from recognizing situations, from thinking, I've done this before, I know how to handle this situation. Ya he practicado esto en mis clases, ya he visto esto en mis programas de español. So if you've ever felt like, I understand Spanish, but I can't use it when it matters, I want you to know something. You're not doing anything wrong. You just haven't had enough opportunities to practice the right way. And that's exactly what we do inside Smart Spanish Immersion. So if you want to start using your Spanish in real life situations, not just understanding it, you can check the link in the description and join us inside the program. So in the next episode, we are going to go one step further. Because once you get through those first 24 hours, you face a new challenge. Actually, settling in, finding a place, asking for what you need, handling everyday situations. And again, it's not about knowing more Spanish, it's about knowing how to use it. I'll see you in the next episode or even in my program. Nos vemos pronto. Ciao.